What's up, good people? What's up, good people? What's up, good people? A lot of times we go through things in life, man, and we always wonder why, like, a lot of trouble is coming and what's going on in the world today. You get a lot of people that are worried about a lot of stuff that's happening right now. Is there a new pandemic coming? Is a financial crisis coming? Is all these laws are being changed? But a lot of times we ain't got to worry about this stuff. We really don't have to worry about it. Sometimes the Lord brings us into these places so we can trust him more. We look at too much TV. We look at too much news. We on the internet too much. And a lot of times it worries us because we start to lose grip either on reality or we start to lose grip on God's promises that he has for us. So we got to be careful not to keep being distracted by everything. Sometimes we're distracted by everything and we got to be careful. So sometimes the Lord brings you into a wilderness place to get back in touch with him. To get back in touch with your spiritual side a lot of times. So he will bring you to these places to get your attention. He really wants to get your attention so you can trust in him and not trust in everything else, trusting in the system, trusting in the job. Because you can look at certain things and it don't look like the status quo anymore. So a lot of times God wants us to put our trust in him. Put your trust in him. And a lot of times he brings you to a wilderness place, which a lot of times it focuses you on your purpose of what you're supposed to be doing for him. So I want to talk about the highway of the Lord tonight. It's called the highway of the Lord. Is it isolation or desolation? It's your choice. And this helps us find our purpose. We're supposed to be the beacon of light in this world. We are. We're supposed to be the hope that people look to. They're supposed to be able to look at us and look at our light. And we're supposed to have a word for them. We're supposed to have the true gospel. We're supposed to have the good news for them. Letting them know that God loves them. Let them know that it'll be all right. What do we have to give to other people when they start to turn to you? Or when they want to look at you for some advice or need you for some spiritual guidance? What do you got in your tank? What kind of what kind of word are they drinking out of your well? What kind of living waters are coming out of you? So we have to sometimes refocus in these times of isolation and desolation. We think it's desolation, but it's not. It's actually isolation. The Lord will bring you into the wilderness. Just like he brought Jesus into the wilderness. Just like he brought Moses into the wilderness. Just like John the Baptist was in the wilderness. A lot of times he will take you away from everything. From the hustle and bustle and saying, look, refocus yourself. That's why fasting and praying is good also. Have your time of prayer. Have your time of fasting. Sometimes turn down a plate. You don't have to tell everybody. They say, I'm good today. I'm not hungry. You ain't got to blast it to the world and let everybody know I'm fasting today. I ain't eating today. I'm on 10 days. You ain't got to do that. Just tell them like, I'm good. I'm not, I'm not going to eat today. I'm good. I had a late, just tell them you're not going to eat right now. That's all. So, we should be the beacon of hope in a dark world today. And it helps us find our purpose. But, first I want to read James 1, 12 through 27. It's talking about enduring temptation. James 1, 12. Blessed is the man that endures temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised to them that love him. Let no man, the ones that love him is the one that keeps his commandments. Because he said, if you love me, you'll keep my commandments. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither does he tempt any man with evil also. He brings situations in your life to see if you're going to walk through them. He'll bring you through the valley of the shadow of death. He'll try you through the fire. He will do that. He'll test you and try you, but he won't tempt you. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away by his own lust and enticed. A lot of times we drawn away by our own lust. It ain't the devil. It ain't mama, it ain't daddy, it ain't our family. It ain't nobody. We're drawn away by our own lust and enticed. Our own lust. Then when lust hath conceived, that junk got to be planted somewhere. So then when lust is conceived, it brings forth sin. So if we dwell on something long enough and we don't cast these things out immediately and get these things out of our head immediately, it'll put a seed in us and take root, and then it brings forth sin. And sin, when it's finished, and eventually it brings forth death. That's the law of sin and death. So eventually we ponder on these things. We don't change these things. Eventually it'll bring forth sin, and then eventually that sin brings forth death. Do not err, my beloved brothers. Every good gift and perfect gift is from him that comes down from the Father of lights. So I want to read that. Therefore, brothers, wherefore filthiness. Jump to 22. But be ye doers of the word. I want to go there first. Yeah, but be ye doers of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. So it ain't just good just to hear the word or just get all this knowledge. Sometimes we have to, sometimes we gotta put these words into action. It says, it's impossible to please God without the faith, but it says faith without works is dead. So we have to put our faith, and we got to put our actions to work. We got to put these things that we believe into action so they will work. So faith without works is dead. For if any man, it says, unless we deceive ourselves, be ye hearers of don't just be hearers of the word and not hearers only, but be doers of the word, deceiving your own self. You're deceiving yourself, thinking that everything's good and you're not doing anything to change your situation and change your life. For if any be a hearer of the word and not a doer, he is like unto a man beholding his natural face in a glass, looking in the mirror and forgetting what you look like. For he beholds himself and looks at himself and goes in the way straightway and forgets the manner that he was. He forgot what he looks like. You look right in the mirror and forget what you look like. But whoso looks into a perfect law of liberty, the perfect law of freedom, and continues therein, he being not a forgetful hearer. That means you retain these things that you're hearing. That means sometimes you got to meditate on these things so you don't forget what you're hearing. Not being a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work. A doer of the work. You got to do these things. This man shall be blessed in his deeds. A lot of times we think we're just going to be blessed because we're doing this or we give an offering or we do this and we do that. No, you'll be blessed in your deeds. You'll be blessed what you put your hands to. It says faith without works is dead. So you got to put this faith into action. He says you'll be blessed with your hands, blessed with your deeds. Whatever you put the plow down to, you'll be blessed in your deeds. If any man among you seem to be religious and does not bridle his tongue, he deceives his own heart. And the man's religious is vain. We got to take control of these things. Pure religion undefiled before God and the Father is this. Pure religion. This is what we're doing all this stuff for. Is this pure religion, to visit the fatherless and the widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. We're called out from the world, called out from there. And a lot of times we get so entangled and so engrafted in with what's going on in the world, we got to be careful. Isaiah 35, 1 through 10. We get so engrafted in what's going on and so distracted by everything's going on. Everything what we hear now, Trump, laws, all laws. He doing this, executive order, that's all we hearing. But we don't even turn to God and say, God, what you got in this season? It says in these times, at the end days, perilous times shall come. It tells you this. So are we ready for the perilous times that are coming? Whether it's Trump, whether it was Bush, whether it was Clinton, whether it was Obama, whether it's Kamala, no matter who it is, the next president that's coming after, if there will be one, it says perilous times shall come. But will you be ready to deal with them? Are we warning our people? Are we warning for the destruction to come? It says, as in the days of Noah. What was going on in the days of Noah? What was going on in that time? That when they asked Jesus, well, when is the end time coming? He says, man, you're a wicked and perverse generation, an adulterous generation. I ain't telling you nothing. The only sign I'm going to give you is the sign of Jonah. The only sign I'm going to give you is the sign of Jonah. And everybody think it was just, you going to bury three. No, that was the sign was an eclipse. And just to warn people that something was coming. Every time there's an eclipse, something happens. Just like the April 8th eclipse. Something happened after that. There's been mad earthquakes. And it tells you that volcanoes and earthquakes pop up. And in California, there's been mad earthquakes. Nobody's been regulating these plate tectonics. And what's going on in Yellowstone Park and everything. It says perilous time shall come. It's coming. So it says be ready for them. Are we ready? Are we ready for these things? So don't worry. It says don't look to the left and look to the right. Just keep going. Keep going. But just as in the days of Noah. So I'm not giving you a sign. You're wicked and perverse. He says the signs and wonders for them that don't believe. That do not believe. So now, Isaiah 35, starting at verse 1. This is the regathering of Israel, regathering of the church, and understanding who you really are and finding your purpose in this whole thing. We got to look at this thing. It's called the highway of the Lord. It's called the highway of the Lord. And we got to start. How do I do this? It's called the highway of the Lord. Let me just get to this. It's Isaiah 35, starting at verse 1. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice as the blossom and as the rose. Why, if I'm in a wilderness, in a solitary place, all by myself, in a place where I'm alone or by myself, why shall that place be glad for me? And why shall be glad for them? Why does it say this? When we look at these things, we got to look at these key words, and we have to look them up and see what they mean a lot of times, and it opens it up. And it says, and blossom as a rose. How is there a rose in the desert? It says the wilderness or a desolated place. A wilderness doesn't always mean the desert. Sometimes it means a desolate place. But right now we're in the desert. The wilderness of the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. This rose means to rise. Even though I'm in my desolated place, even though I'm in my isolation right now, even though I'm in a place by myself, I'm going to rise. I'm going to be bright. It means to be bright. It means to ascend. It means to go up. Remember, the Lord wants to get your attention. That's why he brings you into the wilderness to be tried. Remember, Christ went to the wilderness to be tried. It says the Holy Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tried of the devil. To be tempted of the devil. The Spirit led him in the wilderness. Because that's where he had to go to be tried. And a lot of times we don't want to go through the trials and tribulations. We always want the blessings, but we never want to go through the crucifixion. We want the resurrected man, but we never want to go through the crucifixion. We never want to die to ourselves daily. We never want to nail ourselves to crosses. We never want to, kill ourselves all the day long. Every day. We don't want to keep doing this thing. But there comes a time that the Lord will bring you into the wilderness to be tempted, to see how strong your faith really is. And it's a lot of us right now, we bringing gloom and doom and not even bringing the glory of the Lord with us. Not even telling people that we should rise in the middle of our situation, that we should rise in this desolate place right now, that what's going on in the world right now, we should rise. We should be bright. We should ascend. We should go up. We should come back to life. Bringing us into a wilderness to come back to life. This is what this word rose means. To awaken. He's waking us back up to understand who you really are. What the purpose that God made you for. To raise up. This is what it means. That's this verse 1, and that's what the name rose means. When you see that, when he calls us the rose of Sharon, and we're going to get to the word Sharon, that's in there too. And it says, it shall blossom abundantly. Verse 2, and rejoice even with the joy of singing. So I'm singing in my desolate place. I'm singing while I'm isolated. The Lord's bringing me to a wilderness place. He's bringing me through my trials and tribulations, and I'm singing in that place. Yes, be joyful in this place. And it says with singing, the glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it. What is Lebanon? Lebanon was this place where they had these big trees at. I believe it was Northern California myself, but that's a whole nother story right there. But it says Lebanon. It says the glory of Lebanon. Lebanon was known for its big, giant, strong trees that didn't wilter, that always had fruit, that always produced sap. No matter what season it was, they can bear through any storm. They were the biggest, strongest trees. The trees that Solomon made the temple out of. And went to go up and down the river and went to sailed to places to bring this wood. This is the same trees that Solomon built the temple out of, because this wood does not decay. This wood does not, get weak, and it doesn't get old. It just stays the same, and it has a sweet smell. These trees of Lebanon. This is supposed to be you. You're supposed to stand strong in a storm. No matter what, you're supposed to stand strong. A tree is a tree. He knows he's a tree. What does a tree do? A tree just sits there and stands. It wavers and it stands. It sits right there and stands. Some people come over, don't get just standing. A tree's a tree. We're supposed to be a tree no matter what. People are supposed to know who we are no matter what. They're supposed to know we are people of God. No matter what, they're supposed to know we're Christians. No matter what. We're the called out ones. And we're supposed to know this. So we're supposed to be a tree standing, planted by the rivers of living water in Psalms 1. Standing tall, and our fruit will bear, and we will bear fruit in our own due season. We're supposed to bear fruit. But just like the trees of Lebanon, known all over the world, the strongest trees, we're supposed to stand out in the world. When they see all this stuff going on and everybody worrying about ice and all these things going on, we're supposed to be standing strong. Like, yeah, I'm still here. Why are you so strong, my brother? Oh, come here. Let me talk to you. Let me tell you who you are. You a rose, my brother. My sister, you a rose. Stand up. Be strong. Rise. Awaken. Let God raise you up. What else? What else, man? What else am I? You a tree. Stand. Be strong. Be firm. Be planted. Make your roots go deep into the ground. Dug deep into the ground. You a tree. Let everybody know. Don't be ashamed of this thing. This is the problem. We're ashamed a lot of times. And it says, the joy was singing in the glory of Lebanon. That's what Lebanon is. These strong trees that don't go nowhere, always producing, no matter what season, winter, spring, summer, fall. Always got acorns, always got fruit. It's always producing sap. That means it doesn't go into a wilderness place or go into a dormant stage when it gets cold or when you hit these droughts and there's no water. This tree still produces on its own. So no matter what situation you're going through, we need to produce. No matter what situation that you're in, no matter what drought that you're in, you're supposed to stand strong. People are supposed to come to your tree and get some fruit from it. People are supposed to come out of the hot sun and sit under your tree and get shade. You're supposed to be a tree of Lebanon. Stand strong. No matter what, you're supposed to be standing strong. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, and the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. Why does God put these names in these passages? And what do they mean? When we look these things up, they mean something. Carmel means a planted field or a garden. This is the garden of God. Remember, when God created the garden of Eden, he put his man in it. Told him to till the ground. This was the place where we were supposed to commune with God. So now he's bringing us back to Carmel. He's bringing us back to the place where we need to be talking to him, where we need to start communicating with him. He's bringing us back to this place because he wants to talk to us. Remember, when Adam sinned, he said, Adam, where are you, man? You're supposed to be here with me. You're supposed to be coming and walking in the cool. After you worked, after you tilled the ground, after you did your job, the first thing God gave Adam was responsibility. Told him to name these animals and till this ground. A lot of times the animals are the thoughts and things that are going on in our life, and we need to put them back in the pen and name them to know what they are, to get them under control because they running wild in the field. And he says, have dominion over these animals. Name your animals. Put them where they belong. Have dominion over these things. Name them. He gave them. Then you till your ground and till your garden to make sure it's not weeded up and everything's choking it out so your trees will bear fruit. Carmel is a garden. It's a planted field or garden. A fruitful field. Plentiful fruit. So when people come to you, they can eat. They're hungry for something right now. They don't know where to turn to. They're looking for the government. They're looking for answers. They're looking for everything else. And God is the answer. The Almighty is the answer. Turn back to him and show people how to get back to God. This whole Bible is about reconciliation back to the Father so we can start communicating with him like we did in the garden. But we got infiltrated by this world. We got infiltrated by this world. And now we lost contact with the Almighty, and now we need to get that back. A plentiful fruit. Harvest time. It's time to reap the harvest. Not plant a seed and get a harvest. Not plant $100 and get a harvest. He ain't talking about that. Great work and rejoicing. You'll work for the fruit that you get, but then you'll rejoice when you get it. You'll work when you work, you get rewarded for your work. Sharon, where it says the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. Sharon is a plain. That means a flat piece of land. It's straight and even. It doesn't have all these hills and mountains and curves and things. It's just a straight, flat plain. Causes to make right. It rights all the wrongs in our life. A lot of times when we're being unholy and we're being unfruitful and we're being lazy, that brings turmoil in our life. A lot of times it says if a man don't work, he don't eat. If we're not producing, we can't feed. We can't take care of our family if we're not producing. If we're just sitting idle, they're sitting back, flipping channels, watching TV all day, doing something, being an unproductive citizen. You will run into things that you don't like, and you'll see things about yourself that you don't like, but it'll magnify itself because you're idle. King David sinned with Bathsheba because he was idle. Because he was supposed to be out there working, supposed to be out there taking care of his border, securing his kingdom, going around his providence and checking his borders, making sure nobody's attacking, making sure nobody's trying to infiltrate his kingdom. It says when kings go out to battle and go out to check, David stayed back in the palace. David stayed home. And then he looked over his balcony and he seen Bathsheba bathing. So him not fulfilling his purpose and not doing what he was supposed to be doing created the opportunity for sin. That's why the Lord says, even though you're waiting for me, work as it's like it's daytime. Seek me when I can be found. Look for me when I can be found. It's a plain. It's pleasant. This is Sharon. It's a prosperous. To please. To direct. To show me where I need to go. To show me what my purpose is in my life. A lot of us think that we're worthless because we don't have a purpose. But the Lord says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And every hair on your head is accounted for. Every head. Or the lack thereof. Every hair on your head is accounted for. That's how much he cares for us. He says, if the birds of the air and the beasts of the field eat, and I take care of them, how would I not even take care of my own children? He got you. Stop worrying about all this mess what's going on. I get into the politics. I get into the other things, but it's to warn people what's going on. It's to open the eyes of the blind to see, like, look at this junk. Because the end game is the whole thing. It's the one world order. The end is coming eventually. The end game is coming. So if we don't have any whistleblowers out there, remember who the Samaritans were. The Samaritans were supposed to be the watchers on the wall, and Jesus went to them and told the lady at the well who she was. And then she ran back to the town, and the town came back. Jesus told them who they were. He brought them back to their identity because they were half-breeds. They were doing everything else, living for everybody else. Stayed into a province where they weren't supposed to be. But they were the watchers on the wall that watched out over the land. They were the gatekeepers, guarding your eye gates, making sure whatever you watching doesn't infiltrate your mind. Guarding your ear gates. Who's talking to you? Who are you around? What are you listening to? What movies are you watching? What TV shows you watching? What kind of music you listening to? Who's imparting into you? What well are you sitting at? Are you getting gossip or are you getting Christ when you go to the well? When people come to your well, do they get Christ or do they get gossip? Or do they get everything else but Christ? That lady went to the well and ran into Jesus. Who are they running into when they come to your well? Because the well is a place where you conversate. The well is a place where they went back in the day and all the people went and they got water and they went to conversate and talk to each other about their day. But the water is the word. We are washed by the washing of the word. The water is the word. So what kind of word are they drinking? Are you gossiping? Are you telling them this? Are you giving them good sound advice? Are you giving them good godly counsel? What are we doing? So this straight place that the Lord brings us to in the middle of a desert, in the middle of this desolated place, we run into the roads that we ascend, get bigger, we awaken. Then we run into the trees of Lebanon that are just standing firm. No matter what situations and trials and tribulations go, we stand firm and we stay strong in this thing. We run into Carmel, a planted field or a garden that's fruitful, that bears fruit, that's a lot of plentiful fruit, that is ready to harvest, ready to eat from. When people come to you, what are they getting? A great work of rejoicing. Then we run into Sharon, a straight place, called us to make right, pleasant, prosperous, to please, to direct. The Lord directs us in this place when he brings us into this place of wilderness. He brings us in to be upright and to be smooth. It's an easy place when we're doing the right thing. So that's Sharon. And they shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. Strengthen you the weak hands and the firm and feeble knees. A lot of times it's up to us to strengthen the weak people. The ones that are in despair right now. The ones that don't know where to turn to. The ones that are scared of what's going on. What the laws and everything, the tariffs and all this stuff going on. Eggs is $12 and we scared of everything. But we don't turn to God. It's up to us to strengthen the weak. It's up to us to strengthen the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. That's the ones that's walking timidly, that don't know, have no direction. But that's why he brings us to Sharon, to direct us, to be upright, that they can see. Say to them that are of fearful heart, be strong and fear not. Tell these people, don't be scared of what's coming. It says be prepared. But he says in the end time, perilous times shall come. Are you ready for this thing? See, when you look at the wrong people, prophecies don't line up. So we think that the blessings are on somebody else, but it's not. They're actually on us. When we look at us as the children of Israel, and we look at us as the children and the people of the Most High, and that we are the people in the book, and we look at something different, it's us that they're talking about. And when you see yourself in the Bible, when you see yourself in this word, and you see yourself, then you start to think of yourself different. And we stop mixing it up. But a lot of times, if we don't know who we are, we don't know where we're going. So Jesus went to the well and ran into the Samaritan woman and reminded her who she was. She was a watcher on the wall. That same word, Samaria or Samaritan, means watcher, or it means a desolated place, or it could mean jail or dungeon. So a lot of times we can be put in a dungeon of our own problems. We can be in a dungeon of our own problems. Yeah, because go ye therefore and teach them. We're in a dungeon of our own problems sometimes. But that same word means watcher. It means soldier, a watcher on the wall, looking out, telling people to look out. Here comes the enemy. So we got our guard up. We got the shield of faith that's blocking the fiery darts of the enemy. Got the breastplate of righteousness. All these things. It says, behold, your God will come with a vengeance. Stop worrying about everything. He's going to come with a vengeance, and even God with a recompense. Will he come and save you? So what's a recompense? Recompense means repayment. He going to pay you. He going to pay back for all the things that were done to his people. Remember, the reason why a lot of us are in the situation that we are because we disobeyed. God ain't left us. We left God. We doing all these things and we left God. Got to be careful. But he's going to come back with a vengeance. Then the eyes of the blind will be open. A lot of times when you start seeing yourself and you start reading this thing differently, you'll see things differently. You'll start seeing the good in things and not always see the bad in things. It's not always the same thing. So you have to start looking at things different, looking at the eyes. When the Lord created us, he created us perfect. He didn't create us crazy. He didn't create us a nut job. He created us perfect, but we got infiltrated through the world and became that way. That's how we became that way. So he says, then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. We'll start listening to things different. When people gave us all this negative energy and told us all these things like you're not going to be nothing and who cares about you and all this other stuff. But the Lord says, I'm the one that loves you. I'm the one that's with you. I'm the one that's going to be with you always. I'm never going to leave you or forsake you. I'm never going to forget about you. I'm always going to be here with you. Do we strengthen these people? Do we strengthen their fearful heart? The ones right now that don't know what's going on because of this man that's in the presidency. But you think they're both going to the same end. It's going to the same demise. Cryptocurrency and all these things was going on. And that's why when we look at a lot of these things, a lot of these people and a lot of these pastors and stuff need to keep politics out of your message and out of your sermons. Because you're mixing it. Then you're making people choose sides. You got these politicians coming up in your pulpit promising you something, and they'll never deliver. As soon as they get your vote, they kick you out the car. And you'll never see them again for another 4 years. Stop mixing these politics in with religion. Preach the word. In season and out of season, when it's popular and when not popular. It says, be leery when all men speak well of you. The only thing you're talking about is blessings, and you're going to get this, and you're going to get 100-fold blessing and 20-fold blessing. You're going to get all this stuff. Thinking you're going to be blessed all the time. And sometimes the Lord just says, stand. When you can't stand no more, still stand. He says, those that endure to the end. Endure through what? Endure through the trials and tribulations. Don't think it's strange of the fiery trials which comes to try your faith. So you got to go through something. The fire is a reprover. It reproves you. It purifies you. You got to go through the fire. So your faith can be tested. He says, if you're faithful over a few things, a few. So how many times have we been faithful? How many times have we been put through the fire and we failed the test? We jumped out of it. It has to be purified. Do not think it's strange when we go through these fiery trials, which is to try your faith. Your faith got to be tested. Keep working as is daytime. Seek the Lord when he may be found. Verse 6. Good night, cuz. Verse 6. Then shall the lame man leap as a hart. That's like a deer or an antelope or something when they jump. And they jump up. Because once a man regains his balance, it says the lame man, the man that was crippled, the one that couldn't walk, now he can leap as a hart. He's walking different because he has a new heart. And he can move and keep going. He sees things differently. He's walking in a new direction. Now he got a little pep in his step. You put that back into him. When Jesus met the woman at the well, he told her who she was, and she was excited. Because they forgot years of degradation, years of being second and third class citizens, years. We forgot who we were. Went through slavery, went through Jim Crow, went through this, went through that. The indigenous been raped, beaten, lands taken, everything lost. We forgot who we were. Now that we know when we're awake now, we understand who we are now. Now that we think different, like, man, that was us, man. So we start seeing things differently. You start seeing yourself. It says the lame man will leap as a hart, and the tongues of the dumb shall sing. When we talking all this crazy stuff, now we can talk with clarity. Now we talk with understanding. It says with all you're getting, all the knowledge that you get understanding. What is saying Solomon? Wisdom. Wisdom. Hold wisdom close to you. Never forget her. Hold her close to your heart. Hold that wisdom to your heart. With all you're getting, get understanding. Because in that day, he will lead you and guide you into all truth. And the dumb shall sing, for in the wilderness shall waters break out. Remember, we still in the wilderness. We in the desert. Is it isolation or desolation? We got to get to the point to where we see this thing. Is it isolation or is it desolation? We got to be careful. We must be careful. Is it isolation or desolation? And in the wilderness, the water shall break out, and streams in the desert. So you walking through the desert where it's hot and burning up, you thirsty. Then all of a sudden you see this stream out of the middle of nowhere. And you go and drink from it from the cool of the day. I remember back in Tinton Falls when we used to go behind Swimming River, there was a fresh water stream. And it had these clovers in it. And the water was ice cold. Don't know where it came from. I wonder if it's still back there. Ice cold water. We were out there playing softball and playing kickball and playing throw them up, beat them up, playing football out there, just running, riding on bikes. And then we used to ride back there behind Swimming River, walk through the woods, and drink out of this fresh water stream. Was the most refreshing water you would ever taste in your life. Because you was hot. And it was literally thirst quenching. Have you ever drank water where your thirst is just so quenched? And when you drink, you're like, that's enough. Like, I'm good now. It tastes so good that your thirst is really quenched. and you don't have to gorge yourself on water. Seems like the water we got to keep drinking and drinking and drinking because we stay thirsty and it tastes different. But this water was so good. Still don't know the source of it. But the minerals in the water was so good. So good. This is what the stream in the desert is. When we're going through this wilderness place, we're going through this desert place, this dry place in your life. And then all of a sudden the stream breaks out. That stream broke out in that woman's life, the woman at the well when the Lord was talking to her. And he imparted into her and told her who she was. And says, you know who you really are? You used to be these people. Your people used to be the ones that were watchers on the wall. They used to be the ones that watched on the wall that alerted everybody when trouble came. You was the first line of defense. You was one of the most important people in the tribes. Watchers on the wall. This is who the Samaritans became. When you look at that, that's who the Samaritans were. They were watchers on the wall, but they fell into degradation after they got captured by the Persians. And they stayed where they were. And some of them didn't go back. And the parched ground shall become a pool. Now you got a place where you can bathe in. Now you got a place where you can wash yourself in from all the dust of the desert. Shall become a pool in the thirsty land, spring of water, in the habitation of the dragons which lay. There's these beasts out there. Ain't nobody gonna take care of you. Now you're in this oasis. Now you're in this protected place where these animals and these people can't come in here and infiltrate your mind, infiltrate your thoughts. All these outside sources that's coming at you, it ain't gonna hurt you. Be careful. And it shall be a spring and water in the habitation of the dragons, which each lay shall be grass, which reeds and rushes. Now there's grass around. In the middle of the desert, now you got a grass and you got reeds and it's plush. It's plush around where we're at. Plush. Got to get to the point to where we start understanding what we're doing. Never mind. Is it isolation or desolation? We got to be careful. A lot of times we got to be careful of what we're doing. So are we getting refreshed? When the Lord draws us out into this wilderness place, are we getting refreshed? Verse 8, one of the most important verses right here. And in a highway, verse 8, and a highway shall be there. In the middle of the desert, a highway should be there. And a way, it shall be called the way of holiness. That the is a capital T. That means it's the Lord's highway. The way to get back, the way to not worry about this thing is live holy. It's holiness. Live right. The principles of the book, live by them. We don't do these things. The way is holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it. It's the highway of holiness. It's that's the capital T there. When you look at that, why did he put a capital T there? Because that's the Lord's highway. Look at these things when these things start to change. And it shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those of the wayfaring men. This highway shall be the way where people walk. Where the people that are wanderers, they'll be able to walk there. Be careful. The wayfaring men. though fools shall not err therein. You're going to be guarded. Ain't nobody going to come in here and be able to infiltrate your land. But people that want to get help, people that want to come and eat from your fruit, and people that want to come and drink from your river, you'll let them in because they're lost and they shall be found. It says, no lion shall come there, no ravenous beast shall go upon there. Verse 9, and it shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. Once we get this thing back, then we back to where we at again. We're back on point again. Redeemed. This whole book is about redemption. The whole book is about redemption. And the ransom of the Lord shall come to Zion, and the songs of everlasting joy upon their heads. Zion, the mountain of Jerusalem. This is a series of mountains. It's not just one mountain. It's a series of mountains. And it's a capital place. It's a guiding pillar. It's a waymark out in the land. You know, when you tell people that, you know, make a left at the building, at the big white building, and you'll see a red house on the corner, make a right there. That's a waymark. You're giving people directions. So your oasis will be a waymark. This is Zion. This is who you are. And we fell off our path. We fell off the path. But you're Zion. You're supposed to be the strong tower. You're supposed to be that beacon of light. When they look at afar off and they're thirsty and they're hungry and people are going through everything, everybody worried about something. Everybody worried about what's going on, who's in office and everything right now. But you should be trusting in God, and they should be able to look that way and look way off and see you standing there strong, just like a tree of Lebanon, looking strong. Like, yo, let's go over there. It look like there's some water over there, some green grass over there. Let's go over there and get some nourishment. There's got to be water over there. There's green grass over there. There's trees over there with fruit on it. There's a river over there. There's a pool over there. Read this Isaiah 35, 1 through 10. It gives you everything what's in there. It gives you everything. So we're supposed to be Zion, the mountain of the Lord, mountain of Jerusalem. We're supposed to be strong where people come to this mountain and they're protected. The reason why when you go back right after Moses died and they were about to go cross the Jordan and go into Jericho, they were hiding in the mountains. And the Lord says, you've been at this mountain long enough. After they crossed the Red Sea, they've been at this mountain for about a year. Because it's been over 40 years they were in the wilderness. Everybody died off. So it's going on 42 years that they was at this mountain. Then Moses died, then Joshua took over. And the Lord says, you've been at this mountain long enough. You've been here too long. It's time for y'all to go. Because your promises are across the River Jordan. And you hanging out in the mountains because there's giants over here. You up here because you're scared. But I promised you that you was going to get this land. You don't think I'm going to help you take care of Jericho? Why were the walls so big? They were walls of giants. Remember, when they went into the land and spied out the land, they brought back bushels of grapes. It took 2 men to carry. And it says the Anakim are there. And we look like grasshoppers in their sight. This is the mountain of the Lord where they were at. Hiding out, being protected from the giants, because the giants wasn't coming up there. But you're supposed to be a waymark. They're supposed to be able to look at you and get hope because they see the way you're living your life. Not worried about how high eggs are, how high gas is. I can't do this and I can't do that. This man in office doing all. We worried about everything else, but we don't turn our time over to God. How much time do you spend on your knees? How much time do you spend fasting and praying, talking to God? This whole Bible is talking about reconciliation back to him. And that's the garden that he talks about in the very first verse. But we're supposed to go to Zion with songs, everlasting rejoicing upon their heads, and they shall obtain joy. They come to you. When they come to Zion, they're supposed to get joy. And the gladness and the sorrow of the sighting shall flee away. This is the highway of the Lord. It's an isolation and desolation. He brings you into this place. He brings you into the wilderness to get your attention so he can show you these things, the rose, Carmel, Sharon, that it's harvest time, the Zion, the mountain. But this same place of Zion, that was the mountain of the Lord, that was a capital place, that was a pillar, that was a waymark. It used to mean to be parched. Remember, it's in the desert. This is the same word. A lot of words in Hebrew have dual meanings. And this is the duality of man. We have to look at the old man and the new man. It's always a duality of man. Old against the new. The spirit man against the flesh man. So this same word Zion that meant Jerusalem, that meant waymark, that meant guiding pillar. The same word means parch, means desert, means dry, a dry land, a wilderness, a drought, and barren. We used to be barren. And before we got God in our life, before we got Christ in our life, he changed. He says, old things will pass away and all things will become new. But we're not barren no more. He brings us into that wilderness place so we can be reborn, to become that guiding pillar, to become that waymark in the distance. That's why they used to put these big giant crosses and steeples on churches, because it stood out amongst all the other buildings. And then they can always see the church, where you can always get something to eat back in the day, where they were 24-hour pastors that were there. And they always had some food ready for somebody. Even if it was just a sandwich or some crackers and some juice, they always had food. So it was a waymark. That steeple was a landmark. If you use across town, you can always see that steeple from afar off. This is who we are. Zion. People supposed to see us and standing out amongst the crowd. The called out ones. So the Lord's going to call you into the wilderness for a reason. For a reason. So don't get discouraged of all the stuff that's going on right now. Don't get crazy for all this stuff that's going on right now. Because the Lord's just trying to get our attention. You worried about everything else. You worried about everything else. And it says, cast your cares upon him. Bring it all to him. Don't worry about this mess of what's going on. Because he said he'll save you out of it, right? But we always worried about everything. Stop worrying about it. But we must look at these key words. We must look at these things and start pulling these things out of these scriptures and start seeing what it is so we can start seeing ourselves. It's about reconciling ourselves back to God. We always got to get back to this point where God sees us. We always got to get back to this point. So a lot of these things that are going on, we got to get back to this point in Isaiah 35, 1 through 10. The rose, which means to be bright, means to ascend, to go up, and to come back to life, to awaken and to rise up. We go to Carmel. Planet field is a garden. It's a flat place. It's fruitful. It's harvest time. Sharon is a plain. Cause to be right. It's pleasant. It's prosperous. It means to be directed. Zion is a mountain of the Lord. Lebanon, trees of righteousness. Plant yourself by the rivers of living water. A tree planted by the rivers of living water, to be nourished by the rivers. But you're planted right there. You ain't planted out there in the desert. You're planted right there. Be planted near the rivers of living water. So I love y'all. Just wanted to give you guys some encouragement. Is it isolation or is it desolation? The Lord brings you into the wilderness to talk to you, to get your attention and saying, look, trust in me with everything you got. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. The path is the highway of the Lord. The highway. Capital T. That means it's God's highway. Isaiah 35, 1 through 10. God bless. Shama, God is with you.